Good evening, everybody, or good morning, wherever you may be. We're happy to welcome you. Okay, the webinar. Hi, good evening, everybody. Happy to welcome you. It's good morning for some of us. Thanks, Vince, for joining us from Los Angeles. Thanks,
nice
Marco. Marco, you're on mute, so you might unmute your computer. Welcome from Italy, I guess. Where are you in Italy?
I'm in Rome. Welcome to you.
Buonasera, Marco.
Buonasera.
And then we have my good friend Romain joining us from the Red Cross, and he's based in Geneva. Good evening, Romain.
Hi, Sixtine. I'm very happy to be there with you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. And just need to give you some maintenance issues or information as we are being recorded. Please ask your questions on the chat here below. I will get them as they come and ask our speakers to help me answer them. If you want, you can also say where you're from, so we have an idea of who's listening and where people are from. It's always nice to know. So I see that there's 7 participants already. Welcome, everybody. So today the theme of the talk is about celebrities. It's about influencers. It's about social media and how it actually works. And why is the new technology a big part of social media, or is it? We don't know. We're going to try and find out today. For those who don't know what an NFT is, I think we've been running these webinars for about a year, so people do know what an NFT is. But today I learned a new definition for an NFT. It's not a fungible, non-fungible token. It's a new facet technology, which I thought was interesting. It's just a new way. It's the evolution of computers, etc. And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a natural evolution and progress. So new facet technology is the new term. I'm running the Wise.art NFT platform, which is a marketplace, which is multi-blockchain. It's secured by the cybersecurity technology of WiseKey. WiseKey has been very busy, our CEO, talking at the UN at the moment, and the UN has now decided and opted to protect digital IDs together with the new technology on the blockchain. So that's a big step ahead for this technology. But as I said, the progress is natural and organic. So it's just an optimistic point of view, which is good to hold on to. I might ask our speakers now to introduce themselves. Perhaps we'll start with Vince in LA and sunny LA. Would you tell us what you're doing and who you are?
Hi, good afternoon or evening. My name is Vince Armino. I'm CEO of Alma Festivals Entertainment and Futuro.io. We're an entertainment company that focuses on music festivals and concerts in the area of ticketing and collectibles. And that's where we see expansion for NFTs in our space, for utility, for VIP, fan base, fan club, all types of fan engagement opportunities.
Okay, you'll tell us what collectibles are a little bit later on. I'm curious. Marco, who are you? What do you do in Rome?
Well, I'm a musician, first of all, and then I'm, well, I prefer to introduce myself like an artistic producer. Because well, I produce music, I produce video art, and I prefer to say media art, because everything I do, I produce is really connected to all the forms of digital art and all the forms of, how can we say, analog art, like we obviously produce with vintage machines, as you can say, between me, but we produce with the most new technologies in digital audio, and then of course in the world of NFT, I'm really new. But well, I worked a lot for many times to make really different kind of production in the Italian area, because in Italy is really used to produce pop music. In this moment, the trap music is really popular, but there is a lot of kind of different productions that we really believe in, and we believe in the new media, in the use of new media in actually in the modern production. So for us, it's really important to think about NFT like a new way, not only to monetize, but to present our productions.
Yeah, it's for sure that it's growing so rapidly. I mean, I remember electronic music starting in the 70s and maybe even before, and then it went through the 90s with the DJs. And then last year with Vince, we were just talking about skiing, but I went to a big festival called Tomorrowland up in Alpe d'Huez. And, they had 5 live stage on the snow, and it was incredible. And there the NFTs were a big thing, I have to say. They had treasure hunts. We had to ski, get your latest ticket with an NFT, and you had your clock to clock in. And it was really fascinating how it developed. Romain, you're completely on the opposite side of fundraising and saving lives with the Red Cross, but you also use music and art to bring awareness, right?
Yeah, thank you, 16, and I'm impressed by your skiing skills to go through Tomorrowland on the slopes. But no, thank you, 16. Indeed, I am a bit from a complete different industry, if I may. So I'm indeed in charge of private partnerships and philanthropy for what we call the International Committee of the Red Cross, best known as the ICRC. My role is really to develop close relationship between my organization and its supporters or partners, whether donors or people who just want to support our cause and want to really help us promote the humanitarian action of the institution. Maybe just to summarize in 2 sentences, the ICRC is the oldest humanitarian organization worldwide. Today we have more than 20,000 colleagues or delegates, as we call them, working in around 100 countries in the world. Since the creation in 1863, we have only and the sole objective of basically protecting and assisting victims of armed conflicts and violence worldwide. Basically for us, the purpose of our institution is really that every person who is in need can receive aid without fear and favor. So our principles are around neutrality, independence, and impartiality. This is the reason why you quite often see the International Committee of the Red Cross in the middle of several of the main conflicts that are surrounding us, unfortunately. This neutrality, as I mentioned, really gives us the access to go in places where we are the only ones to be able to go. In many countries, we are the only humanitarian organization that governments really are interested with, and this allows us to really protect the people, again, affected by the conflict. So in my current role, in addition to really maintaining, I would say, regular partnerships with our existing donors, I also, and maybe it's the reason of why I'm there today, is really I try to explore as well new ideas on how we can potentially identify ways of obviously increasing our fundraising, in particular looking into new technologies, innovation, but as well really communicating as well on the challenges that we face, the challenges that we really try to find solutions to, and really also make sure that all of you that are connected today can really be encouraged to support the ICRC. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, Romain. What's interesting is that I've been following, we've known each other for a while, and it's really innovative. I've been invited to theater plays, I've been invited to art shows, I've been invited to concerts, And that's all organized, you know, in favor of the Red Cross. So I think it's a really good way. But also you've got a huge amount of archives since inception, which we'll talk about that later, but which maybe, you know, the new technologies can help you monetize on a little bit more even, or even just protect your archives on human beings, because you've also got a lot of IDs of people who went lost, whose IDs got lost, and we need to recreate those. So there's a whole approach with the new technologies that could be useful, but that's getting a little bit away from the celebrities. So how is it in Vince, maybe, how is it in the ticketing world? What's so new? What's the difference between before and now?
I think in the ticketing world, what we all want to know as producers and is who our fan base are, you know, and ticketing allows the normal ticketing allows for fraud and scalping and stuff like that. With the new ticketing that we see with the blockchain and NFTs, it's more controlled. You eliminate the scalping, eliminate all the different things if you can control that. And so I see that we are, as we step into the NFT space, we're learning who our fan base are on a personal scale. And that's what every marketer wants to be at, right? And so I believe that NFTs are going to have a big impact in what we're doing in the future. As well as the present, you know, we're utilizing it in certain events, small events, just to see how the fan engagement, how they load their wallet, etc. So it's still a minority group of the big fan base that are technical savvy or NFT savvy, and so you know there's a little bit of a learning curve. And but the acceptance, we believe, in the next couple of years will be mainstream. I think instead of just doing a specific part of the festival, it'll be now the general admission. Everybody will have a ticket like that. There's sports teams that are already adapting that here in America, like in basketball and whatnot. And so you know, we're following that same type of focus, if you will.
Do you think that, I'm thinking collectible now, as you mentioned it before, do you think that the ticketing companies will issue one ticket, which will be like an ID for one given fan, and that ticket will just be renewed every year, not changed? Or do you think you'll issue new designs so that there is a market that starts going on the secondary market and some become perhaps more rare than others? Or is there going to be that sort of aspect?
Talking about the first part, is that yes, you know, they'll be able to renew the ticketing year after year, especially if you're a top tier attendee, right? Like say somebody's like a VIP, and so that will happen automatically. But we have to gamify our ticketing strategy in order to have the collectible, correct? And so we want to be innovative as far as designs and trends, and keep on top of that, because it takes the gamification to really move the fan base to want to do these tickets, to buy these tickets because of the collectible, right? Not only the experience, but the collectible they get, whether it be an art piece of the actual concert, maybe some type of rarity from one of the artists that we're highlighting in the event. Maybe some type of treasure hunt or some type of gamification aspect where they have something that's very unique. So year after year, they're able to either upgrade, sell on the secondary market, or cash it in for others. You know, it'll be some type of a redeemable type of collectible. And so every year they can get something.
The way it worked with Tomorrowland when I went this year, but in the spring, it was if you bought the top tier ticket, you actually got hints or different clues for the treasure hunt, which led you then to secret concerts that not everybody had access to. And so you actually made a lot more out of your festival, which was 5 days, than you did if you just bought the ticket for the one concert and didn't do the NFT program, which some people did. As you said, it's not the majority that does the NFTs yet. How is that, Marco, and for the musicians in that case, do you get more out of it with NFTs, or do you, well, I know there's royalties now, so you get, but you had royalties before when radios played your music, you still got some money, but now with the NFTs, is that increased, or is it making it more complicated?
Well, everybody knows, you perfectly know that now it's not the best moment for investing in crypto values, in NFTs, and so we can say that we came back in the past in this period. But last year I was, I can say, the first in Italy to create musical video art, or video clip, as you want, and to make it became an NFT. From that moment, I started to think that many things can become NFTs, because for me, the real importance that as this world, Web 3.0 or NFT is the possibility to prove the production is yours, and
Yes.
that the file is in
Unique.
your possess.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this is the most important thing for now, because I don't think that in Italy we can say that there is a real market of NFTs. But for my personal experience, what happened is that, I told you before, I make music and cinema from a long time, but last year was really full of great news for us, for my label, and for me, because I was involved in some artistic movement. So I collaborate with many crypto artists
Okay.
till this year, till this January, where after some prizes that we won in contemporary art. That was like a kind of market that for me is really new. But this year, my project finished in one of the most important Italian reviews, Artein. So what happened is that the attention of many people and the fan base of my label, of Marco Ondiro, and of the artists that I have around, and the producer I have around, there was more attention. There was increased a lot. But I cannot say that for now NFT market is like reality. It's like something that we can say, because the most famous artists they started to make NFT just because maybe it was right to do this for a kind of I can say like a market strategy, but not because you really want to go inside the crypto art movement.
Yeah.
If we want to call it in this way, because we cannot say there is NFT art, but there is crypto art in NFT. But I think that the way the street is really long. But for me was really opportunity to, I told you before, to increase my my part of the core business of my label, and we made for example a video game.
Okay.
So all this kind of art, for me, they are connected. Cinema, music, video game, they are really connected.
Around the new technology, that's for sure.
Exactly.
But I think the more you have famous stars that are doing it, even if they do it for, as you say, maybe the wrong reasons, because it's the trend or whatever, it's just going to get the ball rolling. And I think perhaps as well, if I see that, I'll give an example, but when people used Madonna to do the new series of where she's giving birth to trees, you know, maybe if people say, okay, so Madonna's in it, people already made $69 million with it, etc. I think that will get other people, the everyday people, let's say, or the street people, hook on, or at least listen and learn. And maybe, Romain, that might be where you come in as well. Is do you think that ONGs in general use the stars to get the hype, like use these sorts of example to say, you know, this is the time to give to us? Or how do you think that works?
It's very interesting, 16, and thank you for your question, because I would be I don't have a clear answer, because I know that many organizations basically rely on the impact of their ambassadors, or I don't know if Madonna once decide to support this organization, then they will have probably a big buzz and people will just connect to their Instagram or social media, or maybe if they have an NFT, I don't know. I'm sure this will have an impact on the short term. I'm just not sure how this is really valuable or powerful on the long term, because, and to be honest, and if I share the experience of the ICRC, and we don't have ambassadors of the International Committee of the Red Cross for different reasons. First reason is really the reputation, because we cannot, I mean, as you say that in introduction, we sometimes invite you for events because there is an artist who wants to give a concert for the work of the International Committee of the Red Cross. But we are not going to sign a 10 years agreement with this person, because we don't know what will happen tomorrow or after tomorrow. And very often, unfortunately, with this world, and as you say, maybe sometimes it's just publicity, sometimes it's, I mean, you really need to make your assessment to be sure that this person is really invested and really understands what you are doing, and that what he's doing or she is doing in his activity cannot have a negative impact at the end on your work. Because for us, I mean, as I was telling you at the beginning, we access places where other cannot, because we are a trusted organization, because we have this neutrality, impartiality, independence. So if we go with I mean, Vince is there, so maybe let's take maybe an artist from the US, I don't know which one, but then goes with an American flag saying I'm supporting the ICRC, then we might have issues with other parties of the conflict and be seen, maybe even if, I mean, and we are quite honest, and you can see that our biggest donor is the US. So, but for us still, we have really, we really try to protect the significance and the strength of our logo, because it's the way our colleagues work, like in battlefields, can still not be targeted as potential targets by both sides. So it's quite a challenge, this question. However, and that's why I would say as well, yes, answer yes to your question. We really value when an artist or when understands our approach and really wants to support through a concert, we have artworks, and I think we'll be speaking about it later on during this discussion, but we really saw that the impact that an artist can have really to change an understanding of a difficult issue. And maybe just to come back to what my two colleagues have mentioned before, I also wanted to say that we have as well very interesting dilemmas at the ICRC, because the ICRC I told is more than 100, is almost 160 years, and we have indeed in our public archives some very valuable documents, like letters from people like the Che Guevara, the Nelson Mandela, just to mention two of the famous ones, that are no longer private in the sense that you have a certain number of years that you have to protect these communications. But today we could definitely, and we've been thinking on, can we maybe try to use these amazing documents that we have to also communicate about the role and the importance of the ICRC while going to visit Nelson Mandela in South Africa, what he's been writing to us and his family, and that's been like these messages that have been like brought by our colleagues from him in the prison to his family, etc. So I do think that, and maybe new technologies can be also a great tool for us to really be stronger in this communication, because today you can, I mean, 16, you live in Geneva, but you can come at the headquarters of the International Committee of the Red Cross, go to the archives and see, and ask them, can I see the correspondence of Nelson Mandela? It's public. So you can read all of this.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
But bringing it to the IT, or through NFTs, or really try to communicate around this, for us would be amazing, in the sense that people would understand clearly the added value of the work our colleagues are doing. But as well, we don't want to, we are like any organization, we need donations to be able to implement our programs. But at the same time, we have very concrete ideas that, for example, all these documents that I'm just talking to you now, like the archives, we want to digitalize them. So in order that anyone in the world can access this letter from Nelson Mandela. And what we were thinking is, maybe why don't we produce at one point an NFT of this letter? So someone basically buys it, but at the same time is not just buying it to give us money, but is buying it for us to be able to digitalize all this data that we have that can be accessible like a public library.
So it's a ball rolling, you're setting the motion, and then, absolutely, that's fantastic. Now, it is important, of course, because the letters of Nelson Mandela would be more interesting to most of us than perhaps some, I don't know, refugee or migrant that we don't know, basically. So that's probably where the celebrity comes in. Vince, how is that different with collectibles of sport people? Do you think, like, let's say a famous basketballer, if he was on the starting the NFT collection, would that bring on other people? Do you think it would be the trend leader, or it wouldn't matter?
I think that there is a lot of celebrities using NFTs, right, and to build their social network and expand that, through the sales of their collectibles or their collaborations, right? I feel that during the NFT, the inception of that, there was a phase where everybody was just doing as much as they could, and then trying to figure out what's, at the end of the day, which route worked for them, and so there's still a lot of brands using it. There's a lot of celebrities on their own, doing their own pieces of artwork. A lot of it is connected to utility, so there's a sub event or different types of collectibles. I'll give you an example. It could be one musician is doing a song, but he also has a ticketing into it. There's a utility, and then there's the experience, and then there's also different elements of merchandise that a person will get. So it's like a mixed media approach to. So I'm seeing that as a very cool strategy to keep the new fans interested. Those that are tech savvy, right? A lot of them are gamers, so they're pretty tech savvy. They know how to get it in and out of things, and they see this in the I'm just throwing it out there in the metaverse as well.
And Marco, you were saying that in Italy it's not yet it's not that popular yet. Is that because now the crypto's gone down and everybody's seeing the bad side, or is it just because Italians are not interested in tech? Like, are the millenniums all into games and all that as well, or not so much?
Well, we have to make a difference between the crypto art world and the show business. I mean, in Italy, because as I said before, celebrities or famous musicians, singers, they used to they used to produce their own NFT just for a market strategy, but after they didn't made other collection, for example, or collectibles. It could be really useful what Vince was saying, for example, for ticketing, no, for the utility that you can put in a song, for example, or in a video that you sell. But for now, it's not so. It's not this the approach. I don't know how to say. Like it's not usual. Most of people prefer like to go on Spotify and not on audios, for example. We are thinking about, for example, a streaming platform in Web3, but of course it will be really beautiful to do this with like connection of many labels, but it's not so easy to to find in these people, in the owners and the CEO of Italian labels, the real interest in this kind of new way of making money, we can say, because could be like this. But for now, I think the market in Italy is really young for this, and so it will be. For sure, it will be something that will be used by great labels more in few time. But for now, it's just in the mind of pioneers.
I think it will. I know for sure because WiseKey is actually also involved, but the Vatican is very curious. So maybe in Italy, if a huge institution like the Vatican shows interest in protecting their data, and maybe with the same sort of aspect than the Red Cross, it will lead the rest of the people.
Yeah, that's true, but there is a bit of confusion. I mean, here in my country, for example, around NFT, few people understand that this is a smart contract.
Yes.
Not like the file that became like a code, because there is not this technology for now. But it's like a smart contract that could be used in beautiful ways, like we said till now. And for example, we are trying to do this with an Italian platform. It's called Only Musics. And they, with them, with Parodoi, my label, and Only Musics, we are trying to use the heart of young and famous artists, we hope, to collect some video or songs, and then all a great percent of what will be sold will go in the wallet of the Comunità di Sant'Egidio. Sant'Egidio community, they are really great people. They work in the conflicts, for example. They make human corridors, for example. And so talking about ONG, we are trying to do this to help, and we are trying to connect artists in this way. This could be easier than try to make this market grow now.
Absolutely, and I think
that's my opinion, of course.
We have a question, so I'll quickly read that out. It's actually for Romain. It's from a gentleman called William Tavelli, and he says, "We're delighted to hold the Swiss Red Bull Cross 20th Century last Saturday in Geneva, and we raised over 1 million Swiss francs. I'm sure you're aware of that. So for the first time, we included NFT art by Doodles in the Christie's charity auction held by François Curiel. which was sold for 35,000. Congratulations. How do the panelists see this possibly growing and expanding to include perhaps NFT in music and film? So no, it's not to Romain, actually. It's more to Marco and Vince. So that's what we were just saying. I mean, Marco was just explaining that this is already happening with this Comunità d'Egidio, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a Comunità di Sant'Egidio. Yes, it's an Italian ONG that works in the conflicts for human corridors, and this collection will be called non-war token. So we are trying to connect artists. So why not connect ONG too in this moment? And so we are really open for this.
Is that the same sort of vibe in LA, Vince?
Yes. Give an example. I'm working with an artist. He's about to do a world tour. And prior to the world tour, he's going to do an auction. And I see a lot of that in marketing strategies. And so in the auction, he'll fundraise, and he'll sell certain artwork, merchandise, different instruments, whatever he's selling, and it will go to a cause, right? And so it's good PR work. It's good work with different agencies because the charities need that the exposure and the cash flow, and so we see a lot of that in the talks. And I'm very fortunate to be working on that project coming up soon, and I think it'll be very publicized. And once certain strategies are worked out and are prosperous, then you'll see a lot more people doing various things for those. So I just want to do a side note. Fan ambassadors or influencers are great people to promote products. You just got to find the right one, not products and services, but you got to find the right ambassador that is lined up with your scope and work, right? Not just somebody that's very popular, because as you were talking, Roman, that it could cause a lot of bad publicity to that organization. Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, as you said, in the long term, things change. I mean, we're all really surprised with the Weinstein story and the big Me Too movement that ensued from that. And then you're finding that the royals are in there as well. So, things change in the world, but it's true that it does make sense to use famous people. I mean, even in the art world, like Mr. Tavelli was saying in his question, I mean, François Curiel is a really well-respected figure in the auction world, and at the same time, he's a really good guy and funny, and I'm sure he would have made, I wasn't there, but I'm sure he would have made the event very lively. So that's, it's important to have good people, but also who know what they're doing. If you take Angelina Jolie, I mean, she's an actress, so she knows how to behave. She knows how to raise a crowd, only because it's her. That's her job. So I think it's important. What I sometimes worry about, and I don't know what you guys think, is that with influencers, as you mentioned them, or ambassadors, is that I find that a lot of younger people are, when they're in adolescence and when they're trying to find themselves, they sort of mimic all these people. I'm thinking the Kardashians and whatever. And if these guys aren't the right ambassadors, it could lead a lot of people the wrong way. So that's where, Vince is correct in saying you need to be careful. And at the same time, you need to raise, to encourage creativity and individuality. So you can all look like the Kardashians, but do you really want to? I'm not sure. It's a question that we'll see 10 years from now to see how all these mini Kardashians turn out. But
right.
It's also about this inclusivity. I also heard that Mattel, the Barbie doll company, they're now making, a little bit heavier Barbies, and there's Barbies of all skin colors and all that sort of thing. That's part of evolution, and I think it's right as well to be inclusive in all that way, without promoting obesity. Obviously, I mean, there's health issues there too. So
Right.
and that maybe that leads us on to the metaverse. I'm not sure this, Web3 and the 3D environment and those spaces. What do we do there? I think with artificial intelligence, we need to feed those machines that are growing up right now to spit out or to learn the right things. And maybe, messages of peace and messages of creation is better than what's on the internet at the moment most of the time. I don't know what you think about that. I think, Roman, you can talk about that a little bit, because every young person, migrant or not migrant, or desolate or not desolate, they all have phones, right? Even in the worst remote areas, or am I mistaken?
Thank you. No, 16, I think I understand. I mean, and it's a challenge for all of us, and the ICRC as a big organization is also dealing with that, and we've discussed it together. We are also trying to see how the ICRC could be seen in the metaverse. For the first year, we are opening a digital delegation in Luxembourg from 2023. So this will be like the beginning of our, let's say, Web3 presence as well, on how can we be where people are and continue disseminating the Geneva Conventions, all the principles that we try to promote of protection and assistance of people. So yeah, I would say we are quite curious, with still being quite careful, because as you were just saying, I think the problems of our world, unfortunately, are happening in front of us. And for those in Europe, we know that there is some pressure coming from East. There are terrible consequences of this conflict as well in the Horn of Africa, in Middle East, of the inflation, climate change, energy that is like the raise of the cost of energy, and people who basically are like just suffering from lack of food. So I do think that, I mean, we can fly somewhere in the Web3, but at the same time, I think the idea for me is really to try to manage and make sure that all the people, whether on art or on somewhere else in the metaverse, can all together take this responsibility of saying we cannot continue in the way we are going. And if it's through the metaverse that we can support the ICRC or the International Committee of Red Cross or any other organization that is trying to improve the state of the world, then there is really, that's the reason why we try to be there, because we do think, I mean, we have huge needs. We are very curious about new technologies, but we, at the end of the day, as you were saying, I mean, the little Kardashian fans should as well be people who can, at the end of the day, understand what are the needs of our world, and if we want to make it sustainable, if we want to save lives, if we want to make sure that people have enough to survive, but they have to understand what these big or small organizations are doing in the field. So voilà, no, so really quite curious about where we are going. As I was telling you, we are investing quite, some funds to be present there, but still with the idea of not losing the purpose of why we are doing this. So I'm really happy to be part of this panel and maybe discuss as well with Marco and Vince on ideas on how all these people can, maybe these celebrities can support us, maybe with some ideas on basically bringing people to real life, and voila.
We'll organize in the next space. Marco will organize the concert. Vince will sell the tickets, and I'll do the NFTs. How's that? Is that a collaboration or what?
Super, merci.
Okay, we're sort of 15 minutes away from the end. I wanted to thank everyone. I want you guys to have the last word. Before that, I'm going to just promote the next webinar, which will be the final one of this series on the 16th of November. and it's the Internet of Things, IoT, and is it the new ledger for those new generation? And we sort of approached that a little bit with the archives, you know, of the Red Cross, but also I'm sure, Marco, you've got loads of archives in music, and probably Vince, you do too. And I'm sure there's collectibles in there somewhere that can be either preserved for the future and the future generations, but also perhaps commercialized in some way or another. You know, what do you think of that? Like you, Vince, with your collectibles, would it be like protecting it as well for the future?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot, you know, we can share later, and I'd be glad to be back and talk about more things, more collectibles, and you know, what this year's strategy is for the collectibles, and maybe even share some photos and some of the work that we're doing.
Very good. We look forward to that. And what about you, Marco? Do you think that there is, you know, the way forward basically is positive, and it's in the metaverse, and it's going to be more about, you know, music and entertainment, creativity, all that?
Of course, yes. I used to say not only positive but pro-positive.
Good.
Because we should. It's really beautiful what you said before. Because yeah, I think that the artificial intelligence. I made a musical concept on artificial intelligence last year, and so is something that. Is really around my thought every day from since a long time. But I want to say it's important that artificial intelligence of the future will understand that there is not only cyberbullying or a war or or violence, but there is a lot of peace in the heart of people. There is the need, the real need, the peace and the love. I don't want to seem hippie, but it's like a true story. We are made of love, and we are made of peace. And so I think that we need to use this kind of technologies to improve this kind of emotions and messages. Last year, for example, in Metaverse, the Nemesis, we made a concert for Avatar, and was beautiful. Was beautiful to play for Avatar people. We were in our studio, and we played in this Metaverse, the Nemesis. Well, I can tell you that, well, of course, obviously, it's not the same as to play on a stage, of course, because there's the people around you and blah, blah, blah. But, well, we felt really strong emotions when we were playing. Was like to play for someone, more than when you play, for example, on streaming.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
During pandemic, you obviously know that we musicians, producers, directors, everybody, we try to use it in different way, internet, but there was like this really hype of using internet all over the world, of course, and I made a lot of streaming concert. But when we made this concert in the metaverse, was really different, I can tell you, because we were, I don't know why, because we were watching in another video what was happening in the metaverse, and so it was interesting that there was the avatar people that were floating in the metaverse, like swimming in the sea where there was this huge screen where there was our concert.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really nice. Was really nice, but maybe the future is not like so digital. I don't want to think about the future like Ready Player One, the beautiful movie of Spielberg. But I want to think that maybe it will be digital. There will be like more digital for sure, but in the live shows maybe.
Yeah, there's last year I was at we were at Davos and for the World Economic Forum week, and there was a display of holograms, and the lady was telling me that they had this hologram of Modi, the president of India, and they moved this box with the hologram to all the villages out in the country where there's no TV or anything. And people literally thought Modi was in the box and was talking to them. And they were very touched that, you know, this future president or the guy that was trying to get them to vote for him was coming to their village. So he got elected basically thanks to well, I'm sure he had great ideas as well for the country, but I mean, the hologram helped a whole lot, because all of a sudden, for the first time, people were able to, well, they believed that he came to their village. And that's where this phygital comes in. Could be scary, of course, it shouldn't be misused in any way, but yeah, I think the phygital, the human will not go away. I mean, we're here to stay, and we're still in control, hopefully. And I think that's where most of us, and especially at WISeKey and many other companies like us, they, you know, that's what we're aiming for, is to keep the human at the center of things, and that we can continue inventing, but continue to, as I said earlier, Vincent, we will pull the plug if it goes over the top.
All right, that's good.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you guys. You guys all have your emails, so you can contact each other outside of me, which is a pleasure. And Mr. William, I hope we've answered your question, Mr. William Tavalli, and thank you for joining us too. See you in a month's time. Bye.
Thank you, Sixtine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.